It's Emil. It's Emil Guillermo. Emil Amok to you. Welcome to my takeout, my Emil Amok's takeout, my takes on all things considerable. Now, I'm sure you know what a takeout is, right? It's an Asian thing. And this is subtitled WDAAAT, What Does an Asian American Think? Because you can tune in here. It's like a talk show. We talk about things that Asian people, Asian Americans are curious about, things that involve Asian Americans. And sometimes it's more general, sometimes it's very specific. But this is, I like to call it a micro Asian American talk show. And the takeout seems to be the right kind of metaphor. You can take out or eat here. See it live, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern, or, wherever you're watching. YouTube, Twitter, X. A lot of people abandoning X. When I figure out how to do it, I'm going to abandon X. But Facebook, fb.com/Emil Guillermo, emilguillermo.media. Also on YouTube at Emil Amok 1. So you watch us, and this is like a talk show, like the way you used to listen to talk shows. It's not necessarily interactive. I mean, interactive in that you listen, you say, oh, that was kind of funny. But Emil said, oh, that was kind of insightful. But mostly you just listen, you put it on, then you go about your stuff at home, cubicle, wherever. You're doing the dishes, you're vacuuming, I don't know. Whatever you're doing. You're driving maybe, and you're catching us on your phone. The phone is everything, right? The phone, it's not a phone. It's like a radio device. It's a typewriter. It's everything. It's people's pornography device. Not me, but some people understand. So that's what we do here. We try to do it Monday through Friday. Sometimes when we're not depressed. It was kind of a depressing weekend. Football fans, are you a footballer? Kind of. If you're a San Francisco 49er fan, if you're a Harvard fan, there was like a safety net. They didn't end up winning they didn't end up winning the Ivy League championship outright. They tied. It was a 3-way tie, which is really the best outcome, right? Three-way tie. Everyone's happy. You're playing in the conference where there's no scholarships, no athletic scholarships, and the level of football is maybe a cut below Texas high school football. But hey, it's a great time. Most people are there to drink. I did not go. I never go to the Harvard Yale game, but I care about it. I care about it a little bit. And I have to admit, I watched it on television, and I loved the fact that when they go to the stands, there are all those Asian kids there. I mean, this is as Harvard is so much more diverse than it was when I went there. And I went there like dinosaurs were roaming in the Harvard Yard when I was there. And they were all white. They were all white dinosaurs. And now they're more diverse. They're more diverse. Students and dinosaurs. So that always makes me feel happy. I see, Asian kids out there cheering on Harvard. Harvard lost the game to Yale. Should have won. They lost. But it ends up in a 3-way tie with Dartmouth and Columbia. And, hey, congratulations, Columbia. No one figured you were winners anyway, right? I mean, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So that was okay. The big game against Stanford, Cal Stanford, usually I root for Cal because Cal is public school, right? My daughter went there. Yeah. My spouse. Yeah, you got to root for Cal. And so they won, right? They won. See, I'm sort of like half watching. But it was a good result. Cal won. I had to go to Berkeley for something, and I didn't want to go on big game day. Because here's the thing. I go to the vegan butcher shop in Berkeley. You know the one. It's a good place. You go there for sandwiches. And I was thinking, okay, so I'm coming from like Northern California. I drive in. There's a long line, which is good. I want to see, vegan power, people going vegan for Thanksgiving. You had to pick up your stuff over the weekend. That's great when there's a long line to pick up prepaid, prepackaged stuff. They make it there at this butcher store. And then, you take it home and you have vegan cheesecake and vegan this. I had the best vegan donut while waiting. I, as you may or may not know, am a vegan donut connoisseur. And some are just like, they're okay. I mean, a lot of people just like go crazy about the toppings. They put, they think a vegan donut is just an excuse to dump stuff on it. And ooh, voila, what a creation. We put Captain Crunch on this donut. Woo. We put a fake bacon and maple syrup on this bacon or on this donut. This was a plain glazed donut. Light glazed. You don't want too much. All vegan. Oh my God. It was the best vegan donut I've ever had. Because vegan donuts, if you're going to be vegan, you better be light. There's just a freshness about it. There's got to be something when you take a bite out of that vegan donut that says, darn it, I'm vegan. And I'm glad. And you got to know. You got to know from the first bite. And I did. Great. The best vegan donut I ever had over at the Butcher Son in Berkeley. They serve breakfast and sandwiches. They're not buying an ad or anything. And I pay cash for everything. But I'm mentioning them because you got to keep these people in business. Because if they're not in business, then you can't have vegan power. So I'm waiting in line. And I'm thinking, I guess I'm virtue signaling. People who dislike vegans would say, oh, you're virtue signaling that I'm better than you? I'm sorry, my self-worth is enough, so I don't have to signal to anybody anything about virtue. But I was concerned that maybe, I'm hearing, the feedback about the election, and people say, oh, the left, the Democrats, they're so woke. America's not woke, which is sad that America would rather be unwoke than woke. Because what is wokeness except kindness, fairness? Oh, we'd rather be unfair. We'd rather be unkind. We'd rather be mean. See, I mean, it doesn't make sense to be non-woke. But I got into the political woke idea when I went to the bathroom. And, you see the graffiti and you go, and then that's just the beginning. Then you go outside and you see the people and I'm thinking, because I come from a kind of generally non-wokey, you wouldn't call the valley where I am, particularly woke, right? But my God, I suddenly got a sense of what people were talking about, and I think it's okay to be woke if you're kind. It's okay to be woke if you don't push it on anybody. I think what people don't like is they don't want to be pushed anything, like you're selling insurance. You're not selling insurance. Heavens no. But if you're acting like you're selling insurance, don't, then you'll alienate. You'll polarize people. Anyway, I went to, like I said, went to Berkeley, got my Thanksgiving stuff, vegan roast, vegan stuffing, vegan cheesecake. We're going to have a vegan meal. It's going to be good. No animals harmed. It's vegan power. No animals harmed. And I hope you just got a reminder today when you heard from President Biden, his final farewell, his farewell pardoning of the turkeys. Not normally a big deal, but a fun thing. He had Peach and Blossom, the two turkeys, and yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's a sort of a fake news event, there's something real to derive from this, and that is be kind to animals. Maybe you should consider not eating a turkey. Maybe you should consider, you could still go out to any of the stores, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods. There are vegan options. There are roasts made by different companies, Beyond, Field Roast, Impossible. They all have vegan options. Or you could do something like totally greeny, like a cauliflower steak or something. I've done that in the past. You don't need the turkey. The turkey could use the turkey. The turkey's friends. But, by the time the turkey gets to you, it's like been frozen several months. And, this is the time when we go crazy about the symbolism of the turkey. We should go crazy about the symbolism of not eating meat. Right? Just not eating meat. And here's the simple. My guru says this is the simplest way. You want to eat meat, you see a piece of meat, you see a drumstick, you see a turkey breast or whatever, you don't put it in your mouth. No. There are options. It's as simple as stopping smoking. You don't have to do it. Oh, tradition, Emil. No, there's no tradition. Forget about the pressure of people saying, "Ooh, vegan, you're woke." No, I'm not. Well, I'm doing it for my health. How many different pills are you taking today in your pill caddy? The statins, the high cholesterol, the low cholesterol, the diabetes drugs. How many are you taking? The heart disease medicine. Not to brag, but I take a multivitamin. That's it in my pill caddy. I hope that's it. Turmeric. I take some turmeric. And vitamin D. But think about the important animal. Yourself. This Thanksgiving. Give thanks. Not, you'll have to figure out what you have to be thankful for. But give thanks for not having a turkey for Thanksgiving. Tofu's a nice alternative. But like I said, there's still time to go to, the Whole Foods of the world and the Trader Joe's of the world. And there are vegan options prepared by all those different companies. I'm not pushing one over the other. I've had them all over the course of the years. I have this little place in Berkeley that I go to that is good. If you want the the fixings is what you want, right? Cranberry, vegan. Gravy can be made vegan. Mashed potatoes, vegan. That's really Thanksgiving, right? That flavor of those three things. With the bird, with the whatever, the roast, the tofu. You don't need that. Go vegan. Go vegan if you can. Think of it this way. Think of the calories you save. Think of people don't believe this. They say, well, turkey's part of cholesterol, high in cholesterol. It is. I'm just telling you. Take a hint from Joe Biden, outgoing president, lame duck, pardoning Blossom and Peaches today at the turkey pardon like I said, it's fake news, but it's real news because there are 2 turkeys that are allowed to live, and you can help. Well, you can save one more life by not eating a turkey. Not to mention your own. So I got to get the turkey talk out of the way because people want to talk to. We want to talk about the other thing that's happening is that it's still kind of it's the 25th, and frankly, we still have a lot of post-mortem election stuff that we're thinking, oh, what happened? We're feeling bad, and then now it's getting nasty. Now people are saying things like, "Oh, so Democrats, you're going to let Hitler go into office, huh? You're going to get lit? Oh, you're not going to do anything about Hitler? Hitler, you're going to let Hitler?" When they get smarmy like that. Oh, well, I heard you're going to let Hitler go into office. Isn't that a pity? Hitler, oh, you Democrats, allowing Hitler to go in, and the only response to that is, well, thank you, all those who voted for Hitler. It's not, I mean, it's in a democracy, the majority wins, and the majority said, yes, we will let Hitler go into the presidency. So the sarcasm from Republicans about, oh, the Democrats are letting Hitler in. Wow. That's a new one. That's a new one. And I keep saying, oh, man. No. The law says we respect the elections. The elections were not rigged. Not like what people said about the 2020 elections. And the Republicans are allowing Hitler to go through. All right, the big news of the day, though, because even though the postmortems continue, the big news of the day is what's going on with Jack Smith. Jack Smith is the special counsel is moving to abandon election interference and the classified documents cases against Trump, which means that's it. The get out of jail free card is now official. Special counsel Jack Smith moved to abandon 2 criminal cases against Trump on Monday, acknowledging that Trump's return to the White House will preclude attempts to federally prosecute him for retaining classified documents, which was a really, really strong case. And Guamanian American Walt Nauta is like, oh, thank goodness. I mean, because it's not over till it's over, but Nauta is probably saying, oh my God. He was co-conspirator with the named co-conspirator with Trump. Now that case is gone. The documents, it was gone when the judge down there kind of rigged it for Trump just in case. But now the classified documents case or the 2020 election case involving January 6th, no, all gone. Well, I mean, that's what Special Counsel Jack Smith is moving. The decision was inevitable since long-standing Justice Department policy says sitting presidents cannot face criminal prosecution. Yet it was still a momentous finale to an unprecedented chapter in political and law enforcement history as federal officials attempted to hold accountable a former president while he was simultaneously running for another term. This is the key. They had to have it done sooner than later. They let Trump run out the clock, and then Trump went on to win, and now he's going to be president, and they won't be able to prosecute. So the debate is on, although it's not much of a debate, that Trump is, the phrase here in this AP story is indisputably victorious. having successfully delayed the investigations through legal maneuvers and then winning re-election, despite indictments. Now, there's still the case up in New York, the 34 criminal indictments there over business records, and there's still the case in Georgia, which has its own set of problems. But we already seen that Judge Marchand in New York has said, yeah, we're going to delay, because even he sees the writing on the wall, how difficult it is to go further with the case, although he could sentence if he wants. Trump, of course, is not taking it graciously. I persevered against all odds and won. All right, I get it, my Trump friend. I persevered against all odds and won. Trump exulted in a post on Truth Social. He also said that these cases, like all the other cases I've been forced to go through, are empty and lawless and should never have been brought. So the judge in the election case granted prosecutors dismissal request. A decision in the documents case was still pending. So this is historic, right? They had the goods. If they got to trial, they could have tried a former president, but now with the president-elect having won, they can't try a sitting president. And that's the Constitution. I mean, that's the law. Stephen Chung, Asian American, Trump's incoming White House communications director, said Americans, quote, want an immediate end to the political weaponization of our justice system, and we look forward to uniting our country, end quote. And I would append that by saying, we look forward to uniting our country by politically weaponizing our justice system against undocumented people, people of color, people we want to scapegoat and say they don't belong. When the shoe's on the other foot, it's easy to sound high and mighty, but, you know, that's going to be their actions. Stephen Chung saying, oh, we look forward to reuniting our country, or look forward to uniting our country. Yes, we want to unite all the people who want to scapegoat the undocumented together, who want to go. We're not going to weaponize. We're going to legally weaponize. No political weaponization. So that's where we are. And that's why, is it gray and gloomy where you are? I mean, it's gray and gloomy in California. We're waiting for the atmospheric river to run its course. It's still running. I don't get it as bad as some other places, but it's sad. And so the whole thing about the election, even though November 5th, right? We're 20 days in and we're still doing these postmortems. The Times ran a pretty interesting piece, just counting the ways, you know, that in the end, there's some issues that people are still talking about that aren't clear at this point because, you know, all the post-election data isn't in. We have the exit polls, but people are still combing through trying to figure out what it means. But in the New York Times, there was this article by, let's get his name. We honor the writer, David Wallace Wells. And he said, here's one of the observations, just a couple, not the whole article. In very blue places, the much hyped red shift reflected Harris losses rather than Trump gains, meaning she lost the Biden vote. Trump didn't gain. He gained, but he still didn't win the majority of voters in very blue places, which is a key thing. Trump won over 90,000 more votes than he had in 2020, while Harris won more than 570,000 fewer than Biden had. And that's kind of the key. She won fewer, or she lost more Democratic voters than Trump gained voters. And that was what we were saying before the election, that why were Latino men, why were African American men, why were they all going away from Harris? Trump broke culture, appealed to them more, the economy. I mean, it really is unclear. But that's one tidbit to gain from this New York Times article. The other one was, demographically, the parties are starting to look more and more similar. I've always said it's about demographics, and the demographic mix is going to determine elections. And most people saw it in these absolute terms. Well, which group is going to be losing whites, and that group losing whites, they're going to be the losers, and the winners are going to be those getting the most brown votes, black, brown, minority voters. When the minority becomes the majority, right? But as it turns out, with this siphoning off of people of color to the Republican side, there's a sense that parties are starting to look more and more similar. That they're becoming more and more diverse. It's not one party that's all white, and then versus one party that's all people of color. There's a little more diversity. And I said that on election day. I said, it seems, from the preliminary, that there's this negative diversity. Or not all brown people, not all minorities think alike. I mean, we know that, right? I mean, we wouldn't have a Clarence Thomas. We wouldn't have a Marco Rubio. We wouldn't have all those Orange County Asian Americans who are, Republican to the core. We wouldn't have any of those if our ethnicity was so totally uniform. It's not. And I think we're going to have to understand that, embrace that diversity in terms of ethnicity equals a diversity of opinion as well. Here's a couple other points from the New York Times piece. Harris did not run a woke campaign. And I think that's true. I think it's true that people try to say, if anyone, Donald Trump ran an anti-woke campaign, which caught Kamala Harris by surprise, because she did not run a we're all woke in here kind of campaign. I think that was true. But I think Donald Trump's going to be a lot more respectful of people of color than he has been in the past, because they got him elected. One more. The left's culture war problem may be less about Democratic politicians than about Democratic voters. Well, that may be true. The voters are more woke than the politicians are, is what that means. Politicians weren't saying, hey, we're woke, we're going to go. The voters were saying, yeah, we are woke, or we are into fairness and equality, and you can drag your feet on it, Mr. Politician, but this is where the voters are. And I think that's going to be a problem for Democrats. I think that really is going to be a problem for Democrats, because Democrats, they want to win, right? So The progressives, and AOC, there's a number of Asian American, would I call them progressives? Andy Kim, is he a progressive? I would say he's more moderate to left rather than progressive. But Pramila Jayapal, she certainly is. She's the leader of the Progressive Caucus. I would say that that's what you have to look for, to see how many Democratic politicians begin to espouse the voters' woke beliefs, or kind of just wink, wink, I'm with you, but I'm not going to say it because I'm going to lose if I say it out loud. And how long that will be tolerated. Don't know how long that's going to be tolerated. In some areas, it may be the only way that some Democrats can win. Just don't mention trans people. That's the shame. You can't not mention trans people. But if you look at trans is just a minority. It's a micro minority of folks out there. And it wasn't even part of Harris's agenda, really. It wasn't part of Harris's campaign. But Trump made it a part of her campaign, and it sunk Harris because people said, oh, is she for that? Well, then we're going away from her. Exposing the real hatred that's out there, the real bigotry and hatred that's out there in our country, which is not comforting if you are trans or have trans members of your family. This is America. And America is telling you we are back in the 1930s. We're back in the 1930s when Filipinos, other Asians were shunned. My family, my parents, my father, colonized, unable to vote, unable to own land. I mean, I think there were 30,000 Filipinos coming into from the Philippines in that late 20s, 30s. I think there are fewer trans people. I mean, it's just a small minority within LGBTQ. But they don't deserve to be scapegoated. They don't deserve to be the targets of American bigotry, but they are in 2024. They are in 2024, and it's frankly disgusting. But are politicians, Democratic politicians, going to embrace the feelings of voters who are more woke than they are? Or will they sort of play it coy for the votes? That's part of the new calculus, political calculus, post-2024. And now we're getting into a period where people are beginning to wonder, well, is Trump really full of bluster? Or is he just saying that? Or what will we see? Well, we know what happened during the Trump era. We know how he governs. So we have a hint. And now we know it's probably going to be worse because we saw Project 2024. He tried to, or 2025, he tried to discount it, but all its main writers are appointees now for Donald Trump in his cabinet or in his administration. So things are going to happen. The deportations are going to happen. To what degree? We're going to have to see, but how much is for show and how much will he really do? Sort of like the wall. Build a wall. How much did he build? Tiny amount. Just a tiny amount. And it may be the same situation with undocumented immigrants. If there are 11 million and they cost 11,000 per person to send off, can he do it without busting the bank? And once people see that, yeah, he's going to strip away Obamacare. He's going to strip away all these things, and he's going to run up the deficit, and things are going to cost more because of those tariffs. And people start thinking, oh, Donald Trump is doing this to us? Well, we voted for him. I think in the meantime, I think the Democrats are being what you'd expect. I mean, look, at some point, the venom, well, this is the thing. The fangs are always on with Donald Trump. But at some point, you have to go from being campaign negative to being nice and to be understanding and realizing that you are president for all the people. I'm waiting for that to happen. I'm waiting for, you got to remember, you saw Joe Biden pardon a turkey today. During the Trump years, Trump pardoned a turkey. He had fun doing that. So, you know, there's a part of him that is, that doesn't have to be all Trumpy. That doesn't have to be all bad boy. But I think that is the problem with Donald Trump. He is all bad boy, or he wants to be. Axios did a thing today that was kind of interesting. He said, you know, I don't know why. They were saying, why does Trump have this bad boy fixation? You know, why go to the mat and pick people that are almost indefensible, like Tulsi Gabbard, like Matt Gaetz, like Pete Hegseth? Why go to the mat for people who have any kind of sexual issue on their resume at all? And it's because Trump thinks that it shows that people are tough if they have these problems, and he's not bothered by if you have a business or sexual transgression in your past. He's not bothered by that. That's not important to him. What's important is that you survived that and that you won. He wants winners, you know, and he likes it if you won in spite of all those things, like him, right? Because he puts himself up as, I'm the guy. I can shoot a guy on Fifth Avenue and not lose a vote, right? It's that variation. And he's shown it. Like, he's controlled the Supreme Court. He's controlled the special prosecutor. And so in Axios, the big picture guys there, Van der Heij and Allen, they're saying Trump's instincts on power on full display with his pick of Pete Hegseth for defense secretary and his impulsive, now withdrawn choice of Matt Gaetz. He says the confirmation fight for RFK Jr. for HHS will be epic. You know, and I haven't even begun talking about that. The Trump team sees the hearing as a massive opportunity to air Kennedy's Make America Healthy Again agenda. I mean, former heroin addict saying Make America Healthy Again, is that credible? Do you want to go with that? He's a Kennedy, so what? But it matters to some people, not to Democrats anymore. Senators will ask about vaccines and fluoride, and he'll talk about how messed up the healthcare system is, one Trump insider told Axios. Then you got Dr. Oz, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. Here's the thing, he's appointing all these people who he thinks are cool people, but they're not super bureaucrats. And he needs the super bureaucrats to either run this or to do it, while all Trump is doing is selecting figureheads like hood ornaments to run the shop, because those hood ornaments are going to go on TV and explain why he wants to do all that stuff. But who are the people who are actually going to run the department? Bobby Kennedy, Dr. Oz, Pete Hegseth, no managerial experience, Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, I think that's the problem. That's the problem. So, see, Axios says, here are some of the reasons Trump is so willing to disregard guardrails. Loyalty litmus tests. Trump puts a high premium on intense loyalty under fire. This is what people on the inside are telling Access. It's the nature of the man. Trump has a very 1950s view of powerful men. And this is a problem because we're in 2024. What is the powerful view of women? Almost non-existent, right? Tulsi Gabbard, Linda McMahon. Linda McMahon? You know, this is Trump bro, the Trump bro view. It's a 1950s view. Rationalization. Trump's own criminal and civil legal fights have made him more tolerant of others who are accused. He is ultra sensitive to the cultural notion that accusation equals guilt. Of course he is. And he has the money to fight accusations. And most people who find themselves on the wrong end of the stick don't. They just don't. Message to males. We're told Trump's gains in the election fueled his bad boy instincts. Said one insider, he knows and intuitively understands that men voted for him in huge numbers, in part because they reject the notion that all male behavior is toxic. No, but some is. He wants to drive home the message that he is discarding the old norms and setting new ones. The new norm is to disregard everything that doesn't appeal to your own ego. Is that it? That's the new norm? And then, of course, whatever it takes. The ends justifies the meanness. He wants to win. And, of course, being numb to controversy. Said an insider, Trump is desensitized to infernos that would petrify anyone else in business or politics. Quote, that's been an adjustment for all of us. What's actually possible by pushing the envelope. And this is the Trump way, right? Never to say no to things that ordinarily people would fold and say, we can't do that. Sex scandal, we can't go, we can't. Oh, we can? We can? And this, unfortunately, is the liberation of bad people into politics. I mean, I wish you could say, oh, well, here's some good people with some peccadillos, and they're going to get in. But Trump's example that he set is, hey, got a rape case, sexual assault, and civil case, civil, not even criminal, civil. We can do away with that. Everything goes because the new normal is ain't so bad. Am I better than the other guy? If I am, then vote for me. No matter what kind of negative criminality lurks in my resume. And that's our politics post 2024. I heard someone who was into ultra mercy, very woke person, and it may be the way we have to adopt looking at someone like Trump, not looking at the man who committed these crimes, but looking at the man. Would it be different? I mean, it suggests that there's growth. It suggests that once a psychopath, not always a psychopath. Once a sociopath, not always a sociopath. That just because you're a lying creep on the one hand, you may not be a lying creep in the future. I mean, if I'm on your side and it benefits me, I mean, that's a sort of strange ethical dilemma that we find ourselves in. But a very spiritual, kind of ultra forgiving person. I heard this idea saying, can you look beyond the man who committed the crime and just look at the man and show a sense of ultra mercy? Because I think for many Democrats who did not vote for Trump, that may be the only way we're going to get through these next 4 years, possibly 2. And that is, if you say, oh, he won't possibly do 11 million deportations. You know, the best thing that Donald Trump has going for us is that, or going for him, that we can derive some sense of, I know, so we don't have to feel that bad, is we went through a first term, and the first term was chaotic, and it was always something new, and a lot of times he heard about it, you know, through a tweet or on Truth Social. Did we survive it? I think we did. I'd be more concerned about who the next leaders are on both the Democrat and on the Republican side. And one last thing on Politico. Politico wrote a thing on Kamala Harris. She's coming back from Maui from her vacation. And the idea is, oh, maybe Kamala Harris maybe she wants to run for president. I mean, there's 2 paths. She run for president, stay in the public eye, or she runs for governor, because Gavin Newsom is termed out. Governor would be strong, but think of where Gavin Newsom was and how he looked at, even at Vice President Harris, as she was doing her vice presidential things, and then as she, you know, took over and became president. California is an important state. I think she'd run for president. It's a long time, though, right? 4 years. I think she thinks she could be the person. But does Gavin Newsom does he think he's the person for president? Or are people looking for new faces? What happens in 4 years to Andy Beshear of Kentucky? What happens to all those other people? Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. You need a blue wall state. What happens to Josh Shapiro? Blue wall state. So I think instead of lamenting that Donald Trump is the president, I think if you're a Democrat, you ought to think about, well, who's the next leader? And what are we going to do? And what happens if inflation isn't under control? If the tariffs make inflation go sky high and interest rates go haywire and you can't afford a car and you can't afford a house, and what happens? And notice no one talked about AI. The truth is, we probably would be better off with an AI I don't want to say that. Would we be better off with an AI president? Be smarter, but not human. But I mean, we haven't talked about AI, and if we're talking about jobs and we're talking about the economy, a lot of people's jobs are going to be replaced by AI in the near future. And you know, I worked in media, radio, television, newspapers. All 3 changed. 1,000% different. Just everything's different. Newspapers especially. I don't know. And government has to keep up. And you got the oldest president ever elected who's going to be in charge of things. We got to be thinking together as a country how we're going to keep up. And you know, the one thing that Joe Biden did, that CHIPS Act was a good thing. You know, infrastructure, the CHIPS Act, people just say, oh, you know, just some boring political thing. No, that made us competitive in the AI race. Well, we'll see. Well, I mean, I think for many people, though, this idea that, okay, Trump really did win and the get out of jail free card came today when Jack Smith, the special prosecutor, said, that's it, ain't going to prosecute. I think there's that time. But if any of your friends say, oh, are the Democrats going to let Hitler take office? Oh, Hitler. You know, Hitler. I don't. You Democrats saying Hitler. You just, to that friend of yours, you just say, look, we respect the law. We respect elections, the sanctity of our elections. Trump won. Republicans elected Hitler. Tell them that. It's true. I mean, you know, happened. And then let's all try to get along. Let's all try to get along. It's America, right? We're on the same team. All right, that's it for our show today. I try to come on under an hour, just talk about stuff in the news. Vegan. Still time to get your vegan Thanksgiving. Tomorrow I'll talk about my mother-in-law. It'll be a week. Great woman. I'll tell you a story about someone who might have saved her life a little bit longer. She fell on the street, and one person came forward to help her. I'll tell you about it tomorrow. And so, check me out on patreon.com, patreon.com/Emil Amok. And we put up our shows there. You can get them anytime. You can watch them here live, and I think recorded, but watch them live. Patreon is fun because you can communicate to me and say, you know, Emil, I don't know. Emil, yeah, I know. Okay. I'd like to close with a little meditation because meditation helps to be mindful, to be aware of where you're thinking. You know, I love everybody. I'm trying to say that because people might say, oh, well, you know, you're a Democrat who's really sad. No, I have no preference. I try to say that because it helps. It's a coping mechanism. I'm not apolitical, but I'm going inward and I'm observing a true repertorial kind of stance. And I'm trying to be above it all, not in a negative way, but out of self-preservation. All right. Loving kindness. Metta, METTA. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy. I was happy there as I nearly choked. May you be safe, happy, healthy, and may you live with ease. I like that idea of ease. Let it be easy. Sometimes just sit and do nothing and just think. You know, someone I was talking to said, "Oh, I don't watch the news. News make you go crazy." Yeah, news make you depressed. Yeah. Well, then why are you watching news? Because that's my life. Well, then you have to be equanimous. Is the word equanimous to the news, and it's a test. I can be equanimity. It's helpful. and then throw out that love and then let it come back in return. Emil Guillermo here, back again tomorrow. Till next time, mahal.